Daddy, how long have you been married for?
21 years.
Hey!
To my fedora.
Wow, 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 wow. And I claim it and more. We were just 6 years, I claim it and more. So you are the right person, you have the perfect answers to a lot of questions we're going to be asking today. The number one question, which a lot of singles would like to ask, and I would like to personalize that question to you. How did you know that mommy was the right person?
Okay, so, I was in a relationship before that lasted for a few years.
Wow.
Eventually, it didn't work out.
Wow.
And it was a very difficult decision to make for me at that time because I was like, what will people think? Haven't been in this for so long and then I'm having to quit. But then I realized also that if I went into it and then it failed, people will say, didn't I know? The same people I'm trying to grandstand for will not come and say, but he should have seen all the signs that this wasn't going to work out. So it was then that I realized the gaps in my knowledge, and then I had to go back to learn, to unlearn, and to relearn. It's important that we realize that in life, we don't graduate from learning. We may graduate from schooling, we don't graduate from learning, because they're going to pay for your ignorance. Everything is expensive, but ignorance is the most expensive thing. So I had to go back to learn. And then I realized that if you're looking for the right partner, there are 5 critical things you should look out for. Number one is your personality should be complementary. Your personality should be complementary. Your values should be similar. Number 3, there should be a natural affection between you and that person. Number 4, the person should have, I would say in my context, because I'm a pastor, should have a sound spiritual life. Because if anybody has a problem dealing with God, they will have a problem dealing with man. The first relationship in Adam's life was not that of Eve, was that of God. And the first relationship in Eve's life was not even Adam, it was God. By the time Eve was formed, Adam was sleeping. The most important person in anybody's life has got to be God. The reason is because there is no human being that can be everything to another human being. The moment a person can be everything to you, it means that God has no relevance in your life. So I had to look for somebody who had a sound spiritual life, somebody whose personality was complementary to my personality, not exactly the same as my personality. Somebody whose values were similar with mine. You should marry your kind in character, but your complement in personality. You're kind in character, but your complement when it comes to personality. Not your kind in personality. The reason being that if both of you have similar personalities, you will have similar blind spots. Similar blind. So to take a lot of maturity to be able to deal with all of that. So sound spiritual life, complementary personalities, similar values, similar interests, and then natural affection. Wow. A natural affection is very important. Wow. And there's something about natural affection. It's about taste. It's about preference. It's like somebody who likes blue. It's just his preference. Somebody likes red. Somebody likes chocolate. Somebody likes vanilla. So God, who has given you taste, will not give you something for which you will have distaste.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And see, guys, especially, the singles, one thing I want to call your attention for, and one thing that is different from what Daddy has said, the usual thing everybody used to hear is they always tell you to, go after character, all these things he said, but they always downplay the physical affection. And he has let you know that that is also important. That's because important. It's God that put that in you. This next question, I think I already have the answer from what you said, but just so that it comes from your mouth. We hear it a lot of times, and some people say that for everybody, there's just one person. There's just one right person. And if you miss that right person, you have missed it in life.
That's absolutely rubbish. There's nothing like that. You see, God created human beings in kind. In kind. That's why people could come up with what they call the personality types. Because broadly, people can be classified and categorized into these various personality types. So even if I'm not going to marry this person, there are many people like that person. God told Elijah, I've got 7,000 other people. 7,000. So there is no one person who is the only will of God for an individual. He's a God of compensation. He's the God of restoration. He's the God of second chances. When the first Adam messed up, there was a second Adam. When Vashti messed up, there was an Esther. He's a God of second chances, and the glory of the latter always surpasses the former.
Amen.
So you don't have to die there if it's not working. You don't have to die there.
But that guy that broke your heart, the glory of the latter, the next one that is coming is going to be better than the former.
You know what I discovered? When somebody walks out of your life, the door through which they walked out is open for somebody better to walk in. You alone, you will see.
Okay. So this next one is quite precise. How early can somebody start dating?
Okay, that's relative to maturity. You know, maturity is not a function of age. Increase in years is not the same as increase in wisdom. You can be aging, but you're not changing. You can be growing old without growing up. So now physiological development and financial adequacy do not even equate marital competence. That's what Bible says.
Let me process that. Physiological
development and financial adequacy do not equate marital competence.
Wow.
That you have a balanced bank account does not mean you have a balanced personality.
Wow.
You can have the body, you can have the mind of a baby trapped in the body of an adult.
Wow. Wow.
So it's important that we look at the metrics of maturity. For the man, there are metrics for maturity. For the woman, there are metrics for maturity.
Wow.
The Bible says, for this cause shall a man, not a boy, not a male species, not a male gender, shall a man. Now you see, a boy wants attention. A man gives attention. A boy has ability. A man accepts responsibility. It's not the same. It's not the same. So it is possible for you, you see, a man, a boy can easily be distracted by many things. But a man, recognizes distraction for what it is. That it's something that will take you off course. If a man is if you're going north and people are pulling you west, you won't get to the north, you won't get to the west, you end up in northwest. Some people have nothing to do and they want to do it with you. Some people are going nowhere and they want you to escort them to a place called nowhere. Now, what we call maturity is the ability to operate by the law of discrimination. A child operates by the law of generalization. If you give birth to a child and you name the child Emma, oh my God, or whatever, after 8 days, a month after, or maybe, call the child another name. The child will look. The child has not learned to distinguish its name from just any sound. So when you are not selective, it means that you are still in the infancy of development. If you respond to every call, respond to every sound, respond to every invitation, it means you are still juvenile as far as your ability to make a correct judgment call is concerned. You don't answer to every name calling. You don't grandstand. You're not an approval addict. You don't have to be in everybody's good books. No. You must know who you are. My father taught me before he died. A Greek proverb. Anthropos ignotum sciatum. It means man, know thyself. Wow. It means be in possession of a solid center of gravity. Don't try to make yourself important to others and end up a stranger to yourself.
Try. Wow.
So people are trying to be who people want them to be. Now, when that's not who you are play acting. And nobody performs on a stage forever. When you remove the persona, what will be left is your true character. Like imagine you have tried to be who you are not to somebody, then they now realize who you really are after you have tied the knot. Then they say they are married to the wrong person. Jacob courted a woman for 7 years. After 7 years of courtship, he ends up the night of marriage with the wrong person. People get married after courting somebody for 3-4 years, and they wake up the following morning after marriage and say, who am I sleeping beside? Who exactly is this person? That's how somebody woke up one day after some years of marriage and took his marriage certificate. I was taking it, turning it round. And he asked, what are you looking for? He said, I'm looking for the expiry date. The expiry date. It's like I got hooked up in the wrong relationship. All those things are avoidable. So you get informed before you get involved, lest you end deformed.
Get informed.
Before you get involved, lest you end deformed.
Wow.
Don't do impulse purchase when it comes to relationship. Take your time, fact find, investigate before you invest your life in it.
Wow. You know, in the process of you answering this question, you branched a lot of other things. For instance, self-discovery, you know. And so just to put it in perspective for you guys, so there is no particular age that you say this is when I'm ready or not. That's why I said, be informed first before you are involved, so that you will not come out deformed. Do you understand? And again, let me say a prayer from what he said the other time. Any agent that want to change your north journey from the west, that want to change it to northwest, Holy Ghost
Fire.
How can I deal with feelings of loneliness or discouragement while being single?
So, you know, a sage once said that loneliness is not the absence of affection. It is the absence of direction. If I'm busy, don't forget that before God brought a woman into Adam's life, God gave a work to Adam. So work should precede romance. Work. Because from working, you're going to be discovering the importance of commitment, the importance of cultivation. This is the first thing God put man first of all in a garden. Genesis chapter 2, verse 8. God planted the garden east of Eden. And then in the garden, he placed the man whom he formed. So that's to let you know that man's first call is to be a cultivator. God will never give you anything as a finished product. Whatever God gives to you, you're meant to enhance the worth of whatever it is he places in your care. That's why those who were given 5 talents and did something with it got a commendation. 2 got a commendation. When they placed a girl, a niece, in the care of a Mordecai, he cultivated her. Anything that is placed in your care, including yourself, the first thing you need to cultivate is yourself. Learn to cultivate. So all that time that you're spending wallowing in self-pity should be given to self-discovery and self-development. Because you don't want to be priced for cheap. Use that time to be discovering who you truly are, your true worth and essence. At times it is important to have those me moments. Don't maximize your me times. Make the most of that season. There are seasons in life. It's just a season. Make the most of it. Treat yourself well. Take yourself on a date. Go to the spa. If nobody buys you lunch, treat yourself to a good one. Because you see, life is nothing but a series of self-fulfilling prophecies. People's reaction to you is their response to what you are reflecting. If you reflect pity, people will treat you in a pitiable way. If you reflect confidence, if you reflect value, people will treat you with value. So all that time that you are spending wallowing in self-pity is a minus to your future. So there is no, God didn't make a mistake. God made a miracle. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Now, if you are selling a Bentley and somebody comes to offer you the price of, let me call it another name, something that is suboptimal, more or less than that, you won't say because, you want to just be bought. You sell yourself for cheap. If you do that, you have already written a personal letter to abuse. Because the challenge is not if they can buy it, but if they can maintain it. So maintain your value. Your true kind will come. Look at Adam. Genesis chapter 2. It was God who even created in Adam a desire for companionship. Adam was busy minding his business. It was God who said it is not good for man to be alone. This is the thing about thirst or desire. Desire is a proof of supply. Just like thirst is a proof that water exists. Hunger is a proof that food exists. Desire is a proof of supply. If God has placed a desire in you for companionship, it means there is someone that God has in his mind to feel that taste, that desire, that hunger, that thirst in you. But how does it happen? How will it work out? Look at Adam, for example. After God placed a desire in him, the Bible now said that there was no helper that was found. So God was bringing different things to Adam to see what name Adam will call it. One of the things you must learn to do is to properly label the relationships in your life. Properly label the relationships in your life. If you can't label relationships right, you can mistake somebody who's meant to just be a business partner with a life partner. That somebody can do business with you doesn't mean they can do life with you. So you must be able to label people for the reason why God placed them in your space. Elijah lived with a single woman, a single mom, during the famine, during the recession in Israel. And he didn't think, oh, maybe I could marry her, be a surrogate dad to the child, because that wasn't the purpose of that relationship. And where purpose is unknown, abuse will be inevitable. So after Adam was able to label things right, in labeling, it took time because something will come to him. God was bringing different things in to see what name we will call them. People have mislabeled relationships and ended up in the wrong relationships. The Bible now said God now put Adam to sleep. This is very important, especially for young people. That rest precedes help. God put him to sleep. It is through faith and patience. There's something called process. It is process that separates the authentic from the cosmetic. Give it time. Deception, they say that patience will always force deception to reveal itself. Patience will force deception. So when you give it time, you'll be able to tell if this is really fake or it is genuine. So you don't just latch on anybody. So you discover yourself, you discover your work. You label relationships rightly, and you give it time. And don't say time is going, because God can collapse time on your behalf. Whatever time you think you might have lost, the sun does not set on God's mercy, and the night does not fall on God's faithfulness. God can rewind the time, restore the years. What's the essence of going fast in the wrong direction? So take your time. He that will come, and will not tarry.
Wow.
I'm a living proof to that.
Wow. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And if one thing you will notice, one thing I have personally noticed from this conversation is when you go back and you listen one by one, you can even combine two different answers to even give you different results. For instance, just sitting here, I could also combine that from when you said that when somebody steps out of your life, God will bring a better person.
Yes.
And now when you say that most times you get the best results when you are at your purpose, when you are doing what you are meant to do. You can deal with heartbreak like that. You know,
absolutely.
Do you know, like just sitting here, see.
Rejection is simply redirection.
Wow.
Redirection. It means that you are overqualified for that kind of person. So they can't handle you. You are too much for them. You can't accommodate a whale in an aquarium.
How can I maintain a healthy balance between my spiritual life and pursuing romantic relationships?
Yes. So, it's about finding the foundation. Foundation is Psalm 11 verse 3. It says, if the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? You see, there are the first four things mentioned in the Bible. The place, the time, the work, and the person. In the beginning, the time, God, the person. created the work, heaven the place. In the beginning, the most important time in anybody's life is the beginning, getting it right from the start. God, the most important person in anybody's life is going to be God. Human beings can be easily replaced, but for God, there is no substitute. God can play man. He can be a father to the fatherless, husband to the widow, a friend that sticks closer than a brother. But there is no man who can play God in a man's life. Then the next thing is be creative. God never gives you a finished product, but a product that has the potential through cultivation to be all you want it to be. Remember, God did not give us chairs, He only gave us trees. Inside the trees, we find the furniture for the chairs and every other thing that we see today. And then the next thing is heaven. Whatever it is you are doing in time, live in time, but don't live for time. Live beyond it. What's your question again?
How
Maintaining the balance.
Balance between spiritual.
So the first relationship in your life has to be your relationship with God. Now, everything you're going to be doing in the context of your relationship with a man must be within the filter of how does this honor and glorify God. You see, when you take your time to do anything, you enjoy it better. When I was much younger, very young at home, I have just one sister, a family of 5 guys and a lady. So, my sister was cooking one day, and I said, I want to have a taste of the broth. It was still cooking. So my sister said I should bring my hand. And she tried to take a little of that thing to put it on my hand. When she put it on my hand and touched my tongue, it burnt my tongue. It was too hot. So by the time I was trying to find the taste, I couldn't even find the taste. It wasn't, because by that time my tongue had been burnt, so I couldn't even feel the taste anymore. So when people circumvent God's process in getting anything, the real essence of that thing, what it was meant to bring to them, is lost in that process. So once you begin to feed, now God is not against pleasure and all of that, but He says that line has to be upon line, precept upon precept. You don't start the building of a house from the roof, you start from the foundation. This is what I've discovered about romantic relationships that are already going and crossing lines. When you have a learner's permit, you know what to use. Learner's permit and then license. Marriage is license. Marriage is license.
Wow.
So when you have just learner's permit, there are some things you're not supposed to do. When all you have is just learner's permit. When you begin to do those things, what happens is that in most relationships, they stop developing on other platforms. Intellectual development, understanding themselves. When they have issues, they don't resolve those issues. They just have sex. And they keep keeping the issues under the carpet. But when you get married, you realize that the sex is always there. The issues are not going to spring up. And they realize, we never really agree to develop, to understand each other. You understand what I'm saying? So what is important is place your relationship with God as a filter for every other thing you're going to do. God is not against pleasure. God gave us a sense of taste, but it must be done within boundaries.
Thank you so much, sir. This was very, very enlightening. This generation where we dey inside now, we young people, we like to overthink. But one thing I can say from what I've heard and what I've experienced here today is, the things of God, even God says it, that every rule God gives us, you can relate with it on a human level. And if you realize everything Daddy spoke about today are things that you can actually make sense out of. With the few that Daddy has dropped today, even me that have been married for 6 years, I've even gotten some things.
Amen.
My wife is about to see a different man.